Hi, this is Rich DiPaolo, Associate Publisher of Editorial for Professional Car Washing and Detailing from the Garage Studio at Babcox Media. Joining me today is Zach Stroud, our Vehicle Care Rockstar in the car wash category. Great to see you, Zach.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
So tell us how you got started in the car wash industry. Was it your love of cars that led you to this industry?
Yeah, so this was my first job. When I was 16, my cousin was the store manager of a wash that had just opened up maybe 10 minutes down the road from my house. And he'd kind of known that I was looking for a job. I was in high school, just looking for something part-time. And he offered me the job, and yeah, first real job, and that's kind of how it's gone since. Yeah, I've always loved cars. I would say the love of cars isn't what brought me here, but it's definitely like made my love of cars a little bigger than it was, just because I get to see so many different cars. You get to learn without even looking at the emblem of a car. Like, I know what that is because I can tell just by the way it looks. My favorite cars right now are probably the new BMW M3s. They just redesigned those, and the M4s, the new redesigned M series. Those are really good looking. Those are sharp cars.
You know, we discussed it a little bit in the article that I wrote on you, Zach, you know, your early beginnings and how you were raised by a single parent. And, you know, you mentioned not growing up with a lot of money, right? So what were those early lessons in life? How much of an inspiration was your mom, and what has she meant to you?
She was an inspiration for everything I do. One of the lessons I learned was independence, you know, because my mom, she was often working 2 jobs just to get by. She wasn't home very much, so I had to learn at a very young age how to cook, how to clean, how to do my own laundry, stuff like that, significantly sooner than most kids did. She means the world to me. She's, you know, the reason I'm here today. She taught me what hard work is. She taught me honesty. You know, she taught me how to control my emotions, because, you know, when I was younger, I had a little temper on me for sure. She's always been there to correct me and pick me up if I did something dumb, but she also lifts me up when I do something good. She's the most supportive person I have.
You know, this Vehicle Care Rockstars program that we did, we received actually quite a number of, you know, significant number of nominations for the car wash category specifically. Yours was a self-nomination. So how did you find out about the Vehicle Care Rockstars program?
Yeah, so one of my good friends, actually, he's not in the industry, but he follows the industry because we've been so close. He stumbled across it because he watches and reads the magazines and stuff, and he told me that I should apply for it, and I was like, okay, sure, like, I'll give it a shot. He just thought my story is really cool with, you know, my age and what I've done and kind of the things that have happened to me along the way. So yeah, he's the one who pushed me to do it, and obviously I'm glad I did it.
So how would you define what a quote-unquote rock star is?
Yeah, that's humility, passion for what they do, and the ability to get a team to chase an objective with them, get a team rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, the industry is actually going through a bit of a rock star moment with this explosion of growth, and Buckeye Express is certainly part of that growth. So what are you seeing on the front lines of this car wash market today?
I'm definitely seeing a lot of competition. It's not the same industry it was when I started, which, you know, was only 7 short years ago. You know, there used to be, you know, you'd be lucky to see 1 wash every 10, 15 miles, maybe 1 in every town. Now there's 2, 3, 4 in every town. So it went from, you know, being kind of rare and uncommon to now, you know, if you're in a big city like Cleveland, there's 1 every 5 minutes.
You know, a lot of being a rock star is perseverance, right? And fighting through tough times, such as was on display in one of your favorite movies, Pursuit of Happiness, right? So you started out in this industry at such a young age, 16, right? Was there a moment in your career in car washing where you thought, maybe this isn't for me, and you had to kind of fight through it?
Yeah, for sure. There was actually a time, I was 21, I think I was 21, I'd actually been let go from the car wash that I was working at before. And that got me thinking about whether this was, you know, what I needed to be doing. You know, it really hurt the drive and the motivation to do it. But the big lesson it taught me wasn't, you know, I got fired, so let's move on to the next one. I realized quickly that I needed to get fired, and I realized what I did wrong. And that was the pivot point of my career, really. It was from that moment on is when things really took off for me. So that really made me question not whether I wanted to do it, but whether I could do it. And that's a hard conversation to have with yourself, right? Like whether you're capable of doing something or not. So I had to have that capability conversation with myself.
Yeah, and as we learned from the article, you were also dealing with some other things, right? You had your hands full around that time. You were going through college, trying to get an education, but you were also trying to balance a full-time work schedule too. So it was working during the day and then going to school at night, as we discussed. So those were very not easy years, as you put it. Can you take us back and take us through those college years and the moment where you decided, I'm either going to need to drop out of college here so I can pursue this career in car washing? Can you take us into a little bit about what went into that decision?
Yeah, and that was when the capability conversation took place. I had to have that talk with myself and figure out, am I capable of this? And at first it was no. But once I was firm on yes, once my mind landed on yes, you are capable, it was yes, you are capable if you commit to it fully. And that's what led me to choose my career over college.
Just tell us basically the 1,000-foot view of what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, the 1,000-foot view is the job title. I do anything and everything I can to support the locations that we have. I see 2 to 3 locations a day. My visits typically consist of, running through the wash, running my truck through, making sure everything's working properly, checking in with the management, the staff there, seeing what they need, what their current challenges are, how are we on our goals, where are we at on our goals. I'm a very data-driven person, so I'm always looking at, our sales data, our conversion data, our wash counts, our revenue, and seeing where we fall.
Awesome. So is there one memory that sticks out so far in car washing that you recall right off the top of your head so far?
I would say getting let go. Yeah. Getting let go from my previous job.
It's a hard lesson to learn, right?
That's the biggest and the hardest one I've learned, yeah.
And it sounds like you went through all the stages of anger and acceptance and and moving on. But when you look at this career in car washing, what's the dream? Do you want to own your own car wash one day? Or are you happy being a manager? What's the dream?
Yeah, the end game is definitely ownership at some point. Yeah, I would love to do something like that, but I also love what I do now. I don't think my day-to-day would really change if I owned one or not. I feel like I'd be doing the same thing I am now. So I would say that's the end game.
What do you think would be the most challenging thing about owning a car wash?
Not getting too involved. Not getting too involved and letting, people do their jobs. I tend to try to get my hands in the weeds a little too much. So I think that'd be pretty hard for me to take that step back and move away from it.
Obviously still at a very young age, so you have a long way to go to achieve that. But in your brief time here in the car wash industry, what career accomplishment would you say you're most proud of?
The team that I get to work with is incredible. The management team at Buckeye is great. So I think, just having such a well-functioning team like we have now is quite an accomplishment, not for myself, but for everyone involved.
Yeah, just like a great band, right? A car wash, there's so many moving parts, and not only the equipment, but the team also has to be in perfect sync to achieve the best possible results. So how does Buckeye Express Car Wash ensure and promote that level of teamwork?
The biggest thing we do as far as that goes is sharing what our vision is, what our goals are. It's going to be really hard to motivate a group of people if they don't know where you're heading, right? If they don't know what to work towards, what all their hard work is going for. So we're very clear with our teams on where we want to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5, 10, 20 years from now. So you could go to any of our stores and ask them, how many stores do we want to have in 2 years? And probably all of them would be able to tell you the number.
So great bands also have amazing staying power, right? You look at the Rolling Stones, or I know one of your favorite bands was Metallica, successful over a period of decades, right? They have that staying power because they reinvent themselves over a period of time to meet demands of the customers. So how does training and succession planning help your team thrive?
Yeah, that's one of our biggest strong points at Buckeye is our training regiments are pretty rigorous. There's a lot that goes into that. We essentially reverse engineered what is a perfect car wash attendant, what is a perfect assistant manager, what is a perfect site manager, and we built training around the items that they need to get there. So not only do they need to be trained on these things, but it also needs to be validated by either a site leader or a district manager before it's validated and signed off on. And that has given us a pipeline of people that can backfill pretty much every upper level management position we have, which is including mine as well. If I dropped off the face of the planet right now, someone's taking my spot tomorrow. And I think that's a testament to the team that we have and their adaptability and their coachability.
What advice would you have for new entrants into this industry?
The biggest piece of advice I would have is when I first started off, I really focused on learning the hard skills, like the mechanical skills, the chemical skills, the point of sale, stuff like that. And for the first 2 or 3 years of my career, I really focused on that stuff. I became pretty proficient at it pretty quickly, but what held me back was my ability to lead people. So I would tell someone starting off, focus on your management skills, your emotional intelligence, and the way that you can lead people before you focus on learning how to fix a conveyor, how to fix a wrap, and all that kind of stuff. Learn the hard skills along the way, but focus on your soft skills.
Now, was there a piece of advice that you got when you first entered the industry, or was there a piece of advice that you wish you would have gotten when you first entered the market?
That's the advice I wish I would have gotten. Like I said, because my first couple of years, I was all about the wash. I was all about the mechanics behind it and the chemistry behind it. And, I got pretty arrogant around 19, 20 years old because I knew the stuff very well. I knew it better than most. And I thought that was enough. And looking back on it now, it's not, because what good is all that knowledge if you're not capable of passing it down to the people that you work with?
What excites you the most about the future of this car wash industry?
I would say I'm excited to see the companies that rise above the competition over the next 5 years. We just spoke about how competitive stuff is getting, and I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see kind of who comes out on top. So right now, I think it's an operational race between all the companies in these areas to see who can put out a better car, who can train their staff better, who gives better customer service, who's more efficient. So I think the winners of that race are going to become pretty clear 5 to 10 years from now.
Do you feel that Buckeye's in a pretty good spot to have a bright future ahead?
I do. The team we have, I can't speak enough about them.
Well, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want the folks out there to know about you?
No. The only kind of recommendation I would have for owners, operators out there is focus a little more on, the younger kids at your stores, because they're your future. 5 to 10 years from now, those are going to be your site managers, your regional managers, district managers, maintenance managers, stuff like that. So just don't write off the younger guys just because they're young. They're your future.
All right, and you got a bright future in this industry, so I look forward to watching you grow in this industry and achieve great things. I appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
Vehicle Care Rockstars is powered by Babcox Media in partnership with Apex.